Hey there, welcome to Chapter 9, Section 3. We are focused on rotations, one of our transformation units, and we're going to get started using our vocabulary. So the center of rotation is just a fixed point around which shapes move in a circular motion to a new position. If we are on a graph, we will most of the time deal with 0, 0, but it doesn't always have to be 0, 0. It can move about the graph too, but we will deal with 0, 0 most of the time. The angle of rotation is just the angle through which the pre-image, your original, is rotated about the center of rotation to form the new image point. So, we look at counterclockwise, which is which way most of our rotations will happen. Clockwise is just the way in which the clock works. It goes about the circle. So that those hands of the clock are rotating constantly throughout the day. Rotation. A rotation is about a fixed point called the center, through which our angle that we are given is a function that maps a point to its image such that, so here is our center of rotation, point C, and I have my image point, point A. So we'll work on graphing a rotation without a graph and then with a graph. So without a graph, you need to draw a line from point A to your center. From that line that you drew, that's going to be 0 degrees. And then you are going to track how many degrees it asks you to rotate the point. So that would be your angle. And then you're going to map from that angle line. You are going to map the same distance from A to your center as center to your A prime. So those are kind of the 3 steps we are going to take. So that angle not only has to be rotated about the degree, but it also has to be the same measure from the center. All right, so we're going to do one. It might be hard to see. We will probably go over it in class too, but I want to talk through your steps as to how to create a counterclockwise rotation about our point A, which is our center of rotation. And we are asked to rotate it 45 degrees counterclockwise. So the first thing I want you to do is get out your ruler, or your protractor is probably the best thing to have out. I'm going to measure from, or I'm going to draw a line from A. Oops, I need to get a pen, not a highlighter. I'm going to go from A to point R. So from A to point R. That's going to be my 0 degrees. So put that little center of your protractor on center A. Your R needs to go through 0, and then I'm going to track 45 degrees, which would be right here. I'm going to put a point at 45 degrees. I'm going to draw a line from which A, my center, goes through that line. So I've created a 45 degree angle right here. That's step number 1. I need to create a 45 degree angle. So the last step that I need to do is I need to measure from A to R. So on mine, I'm going to measure, it's almost 1.75. Yours will be completely different because mine is zoomed in, so you need to measure your own. So I'm going to go right here. When I find the same distance, I'm going to put a point here, and I'm going to put point R prime. All right, I'm going to do a couple more a little bit faster, but remember, you're going to draw a line from your center to point V. Step number 1. Step 2 is, remember, this goes through 0, so I'm going to put my center of my protractor on A. That 0 degrees needs to be that line that I drew through V. I'm going to go find 45 degrees. I'm going to draw a line through that tick mark that I just made. And then I'm going to measure from A to point V must be the same distance from A to V prime. Once I find that, I'm going to put a point there and put point V prime. All right, we'll go ahead and do all of them because you will be assessed over this. So A to T, I'm going to draw a line. If it helps you do it in different colors, that's great. Remember, at point T, that'll be your 0 degree marking. So you're kind of going to have to maneuver your protractor. Go to 45 degrees. Make a line to create your 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to measure from A to T and from A to T prime. And I almost didn't make that long enough, so I'm going to put that point right there. And then my last step, we'll pick purple. A to S, I'm going to draw a line from A to point S. I'm then going to create an angle. Remember, through point S is 0 degrees. So from 0, I'm going to find 45 degrees, make a tick mark, and draw my line to make my angle. And then because I need it to be the same distance, the distance from A to S, and then the distance from A to S prime, and I need to move that up. I think it was 4. Almost right there. S prime, and then when I get all of those plotted, I am going to connect my dots. And again, we will go over this a little bit more in class because you will be assessed over it. And there is my rotation of that figure. All right. So what if we are doing rotations about a coordinate plane? The nice thing is we have some rules that we get to use. So if I am asked to do a 90-degree rotation, and remember these are always counterclockwise, so I'm always going this way about the coordinate plane. I'm going to change my Y, and then I'm going to flip-flop them. So I'm going to change my Y value, and then I'm just going to flip-flop them. So then it becomes negative YX. 180-degree rotation. I am just going to change my Y and change my X value. Again, that is 180-degree rotation, really clockwise or counterclockwise. And then 270 degrees counterclockwise. I'm going to change my X. So I'm going to change it, and then I'm going to flip-flop the two. So one thing you can note is 90-degree rotation is also known as 270 degrees clockwise. And 270 degrees counterclockwise is also known as 90 degrees clockwise. So just make sure when you're reading the problem it says clockwise or counterclockwise, and if it doesn't say anything, you can assume it is counterclockwise. If it says clockwise, you need to remember which rule you need to use. All right, so we have a hexagon, and we need to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. So remember, my counterclockwise 90-degree rule is right here. I need to change my Y, and then I need to flip-flop them. So it becomes negative Y, X. So when I do this, I like to change my Y first. So it'd be 2, negative 1. And then I'm going to flip-flop them. So R prime now becomes negative 1, 2. I just like to do a little step before. That way I don't have to think about doing 2 steps in one. So S prime, after I've changed my Y, I'm going to flip-flop them. -1, 4. T prime, again, change my Y. And then flip them. So -3, 5. J prime, 4, -4 would be it. And then I'm going to flip it. J prime would be -4, 4. Change my Y and then flip. -4, 1. And D, 0, -3 becomes D prime as -3, 0. All right, and if you would graph it, remember this would be my center of rotation. So 90 degrees would end up right about over here. All right, go ahead and stop this video and check your progress. Here are your answers. And if I would graph this, it would end up somewhere over here. All right, and last, we are going to rotate it 90 degrees. Oops, meant to highlight that. My pen is not wanting to cooperate today. 90 degrees clockwise, which also means 270 degrees counterclockwise. So I need to use my 270 degree rule, which is change your X to a negative and then switch. All right, so my rule would be Y -X. All right, let's see. So change my X and then flip it. So P prime is 1, -1. 1, -1. Q prime is change my Y first, then flip it. -5, 4. And then my R prime, I think I did this wrong. I did. Change my X and then flip it. So let's try that one again. I think I did that first one, right? Yes. So 5, -4 would be my Q prime. Sorry about that. And then change my X and flip. So R prime would be 1, -5. So if I graphed that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I caught myself because as I was starting to graph, I noticed that I was ending up somewhere over here, and I knew that couldn't be the case. 1, -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 3. All right, so there is my rotated triangle. All right, that is all I have for you for chapter or section 3 using a rotation. Look forward to having you back next time.